Alright, good evening folks, it's Enforcer Matt and welcome back to another short war video, and today we have very big news coming out of Russia, Ukraine, China, and the Middle East. But by far our biggest piece of news of the day is coming out of central Moscow, as right now we've seen a massive explosion take place at a high-rise apartment complex in Moscow, and it looks like a very devastating fire has broken out behind that, and this could be a targeted assassination of somebody either by the Russian government or the Ukrainian government, so we are seeing that today. And also, we do have word that Ukraine is retaking ground very rapidly inside of the occupied territories of Ukraine, and also they're moving very rapidly into Belgorod, which is mainland Russia, and taking ground there as well. We've also gotten word, speaking of Belgorod, that a Russian commander has gone missing and is suspected of being eliminated by the Ukrainian forces as of this morning. We also have big news coming out of the Middle East that US B-2 bombers could be on their way right now, being supported by tanker aircraft and also tanker vessels that are currently heading to the Middle East, and we have that news on the video today. And also we have heard that Israel's planning new operations, and we do have news out of China that China has encircled a Japanese island as of this morning as well, and that is causing quite a severe escalation. And also finally, we have some very big news out of the United States of a major national security leak that occurred just a couple hours ago. But jumping into our first post of the day, this one goes to Anton Gerashenko. And this is a very big story right here. We did see a massive explosion take place in central Moscow, and also this massive fireball that basically consumed the entire building behind it. So let's take a look at the video and see exactly what this is and how large this fire really is right in the center of Moscow. And look at that, that is an absolutely massive fire right there. And once again, we're being told this was some type of high-end residential building of some sort, maybe with apartments in it. But as you can see, that is a humongous ball of smoke coming off that building, and it looks like the entire roof has been engulfed in flames. So whatever happened here, it was very big, and residents were reporting explosions before this fire started. So we're not really sure exactly what this is, but it looks like, considering the high-end nature of the building, it might have been maybe an assassination attempt. So jumping into our next post here, this one goes to Nexta. And this post right here gives us some more details as to exactly what this building was, and it says it was a luxury residential complex called the Rosa Rosa, and it's on fire in central Moscow, as we saw in the last video, and the blaze engulfed the roof and upper floors of the building, and the cause of the fire is still unknown, and the information about any casualties is being clarified. So let's take a look at the second view showing the fire blazing on. And look at that, that is crazy. That fire is literally engulfing the entire top of that building right there. And not much to see else in this video, it's only 4 seconds long, but as you can see, that is a large fire right there. So I'm very curious as to who was living in that building, because this looks very, very fishy if you ask me. But jumping into our next post here, this one goes to Max24. And we also have a zoomed out view of the fire as well, so let's take a look at that video and show you just how large this is from a bigger perspective. And as you can see, there it is from a zoomed out perspective, showing you exactly where this is in Moscow. And right behind the smoke, you can actually see the high-rise buildings of central Moscow itself. And this is happening right outside, it looks like in a small little suburb area of the Moscow area. So as you can see, a very large fire, and it has the possibility of spreading, of course, because it is getting quite out of control. And I'm not really sure what the response is from the Russian fire department, as we have not seen them in the videos that we currently have right now. So as you can see, quite devastating, and we'll be waiting for more details to figure out who was in the building and why that explosion occurred right there in the middle of Moscow. But jumping into our next post here, this one goes to Polymarket Intel. And also, we got some very big confirmation today in this post that Ukrainian Special Forces did uncover a Russian helicopter base yesterday in Belgorod. They struck it with HIMARS, destroying 2 Mi-8 transport helicopters and heavily damaging 2 of the Ka-52 attack helicopters. And we did report this on last night's stream, but we did not have video evidence showing these strikes actually taking place. So it does appear they did take out 4 Russian helicopters at one base inside of Belgorod. So a massive failure for the Russians, and we now have proof of this in this very, very big catch by the Ukrainians. They were able to take out these helicopters. So let's take a quick look at the footage and see what took place. So right here, you can actually see there are a couple of those helicopters right there on the video. They're showing you them right there, the Mi-8 helicopters. There's 2, and there's also those Ka-52s right there on the side, the attack helicopters. So they're all in one place, which is a bad thing for the Russians, because the Ukrainians are about to take advantage of that. And right here, you can see there is the HIMARS strikes coming right in and smashing each and every one of those 4 helicopters. So they are hitting the Ka-52s, and they just hit the Mi-8s as well. And there's the final Ka-58 or 52 getting taken out right there on the camera. So that is a big, big catch for the Ukrainians to see all these helicopters in one place stationary like this, and a big failure for the Russian air defense, which did not take that down. So crazy to see, and a very big catch, and we finally had have the video evidence to back that up. But jumping into our next post here, this one goes to Belgorod 24. And we do have some very good news right now that Ukraine is retaking ground in the occupied regions of their country, and today we have gotten confirmation that the Ukrainian army is retaking the village Nadia in the Luhansk region, and the video that we have shows the Ukrainian soldiers entering the village and also clearing it as well. But due to the fact this is our video, we do not show war footage actually in the video itself of the soldiers going in, because of course YouTube might restrict the video, so we'll have to save that maybe for the stream or some other time. But as you can see right here, there is the confirmation of the retaking of this village by the Ukrainian forces, so very good news on that front. But we also have another post here which goes to null reports of some more positive news coming out of Ukraine. And this news right here is actually coming out of Belgorod, and right now we can hear that Romanov confirms the AFU is attacking Popovka in the Belgorod region at this very moment. So as you can see right here on the map, we are being told by some sources that Popovka is currently under attack by the Ukrainians after they have moved in and taken over the village of Demidovka. They have gone in and now taken over, or starting to take over, the area of Popovka. So this is indicating very rapid progress by the Ukrainian forces in the Belgorod region, and we are still getting reports from the Russians that they are still on the back foot and they're actually not able to cope with the incoming AFU offensive in this area. So that is more proof that they're moving very quickly. But jumping into our next post, this one goes to null reports once again. And speaking of the Russian reports that the Russians are on the back foot, we can see right here that according to Russian sources, the AFU has indeed entered Popovka in the Belgorod region, and the Russians say, quote unquote, the enemy entered Popovka in a group of up to 10 people, and the Russians are now working to get rid of them, and they are using cassettes and FPV a lot, and now the enemy has also started using fiber optics as well. So it looks like the Ukrainians have picked up the fiber optic trend here, and they're now using those on the Russians as well, and we've been seeing footage come out of literally fiber optic cable everywhere as these massive drone attacks are taking place. But jumping into our next post here, this one goes to Anton Gerashenko once again. And this is a very big story on this front. Right now we are hearing that out of Belgorod, the same area where Ukraine is taking ground, that reports have appeared on Russian Telegram channels that the Russian General Lapin, who's the commander of the North Group, may have gone missing or may have been eliminated in the Belgorod region of Russia. Right now this information has not been totally verified and it needs confirmation, but right now to even get a rumor of this, that he has indeed gone missing, that is a very bad sign for the Russians. And Lapin is one of the commanders and occupation troops, grouping of the North here, the one that he's commanding. They were in charge of carrying out an offensive on Kharkiv, and Lapin ordered an airstrike on the building of the hypermarket in Kharkiv allegedly, which killed 19 civilians. So this guy right here is definitely bad news, and it looks like he is indeed missing at the moment, but once again, we will be waiting a further confirmation of this, but if he is indeed eliminated, that is a very high-profile assassination by the Ukrainian forces, but we're waiting on more details. But jumping into our next post here, this one also goes to null reports once again. And if you haven't already heard, the US, Ukraine, and Russian negotiators are still meeting in Riyadh right now in Saudi Arabia to discuss a partial ceasefire in Ukraine, and I thought there was already a ceasefire in place with the energy infrastructure, but apparently I must have gotten confused. But a follow-up round between the US and Ukrainian teams is expected, and talks focus on halting long-range strikes on energy sites, that's weird, and civilian infrastructure, plus securing the safe shipping in the Black Sea. So it sounds like they're working to basically secure an energy site ceasefire, which I thought was already in place. My memory is really getting bad in my old age. But as you can see right here, they are negotiating with the Russians to basically start talking them down out of conducting this war. Me personally, I don't think this is going to get anywhere, but of course, the talks are still going on, and we'll have to wait and see what the result is out of this. But I think we pretty much already know what the result is going to be. But jumping into our next post here, this one goes to Belgorod 24. And we got some big news coming out of Lithuania, because right now we can hear that Lithuania has announced it will increase its military spending from 3.9% to 5.25% this year. And it will be the highest overall figure in all of NATO unless Poland decides to go even higher than the 5% that they have announced. So that is very big news as well. And we just got news the other day that Lithuania is mining its border with Belarus to get ready for a potential Russian invasion of their territory in case the Russians do move in these upcoming military exercises and decide to go right across the border and then try to invade Lithuania. And that, of course, is a possibility, and it looks like Lithuania is taking that seriously by bumping up their defense spending over the next year or so. So very big news indeed. But with that, folks, it is now time to move on to our next post here and switch gears just a little bit to our Middle East news, because things are still popping off quite heavily there. And in this post from Fintux News, we hear that it is possible that U.S. Air Force B-2s have been deployed to Diego Garcia, which is an island, I believe, in the Indian Ocean, which of course houses some of our military aircraft. And air traffic trackers noted unusual refueling tanker traffic that might fit such a deployment, and rumors swirl that multiple B-2s have headed westbound out of Whiteman Air Force Base recently, and the info is unverified at the moment. These are rumors or rumint, but right now it is very possible that B-2s are on the way. And I would say this is a very distinct possibility right here because, of course, the B-2s are the next logical step in the chain of escalation, because right now it looks like the Yemen rebels right now are actually being somewhat resilient to the bombing campaign by U.S. forces on the Yemen territory. So, of course, the B-2s are the next logical step, and I think this is very likely to take place coming very soon. So, once again, we are hearing that rumor as of right now. But jumping into our next post here, this one goes to Apex News. And we are getting word in this post that Israel is making plans for a new potential major ground offensive that would involve sending tens of thousands of troops into combat to clear and occupy large swaths of the territory, which they're currently at war with right now. But as you can see, there is a major ground offensive being planned in this area, which starts with a G right here, as you can see on the screen, and it looks like that could be coming very soon, and a large occupation of that territory by Israeli forces. So, of course, we are seeing that right now. But jumping into our next post, this one goes to Ray Powell. And let's switch gears away from our Middle East news real quick and move on to our China news, because we do have big news coming out of China and the Asian region right now. Right now, we can see that the China Coast Guard has moved 8 ships to surround Japan's Senkaku Islands, with one ship getting within 1 nautical mile of the main island of Otsuri in the morning. And of course, this is somewhat unusual because they are getting very, very close to the island. In fact, much closer than before, and they've basically surrounded this Japanese island chain right here. So this is a big show of force by the Chinese toward Japan, and this is very serious and will likely cause Japan to respond to it in some way or another. So we're seeing that this morning, once again, an escalation by China toward Japan. But moving into our next post, this one goes to War Monitor. And another escalation we are seeing right now is China is continuing its military exercises off the coast right now of their territory, and they're practicing amphibious landings off the coast of Zhanjiang, and at this time they're forming composite landing bridges. So once again, this is practice for one day an invasion of Taiwan by Chinese forces, and it looks like they are getting ready to go with this attack. We don't know the exact timing of the attack right now, but as you can see, there are the barges, the landing ships, which are conducting practices right off the coast of China for one day when they do decide to invade Taiwan. So very disturbing to see that, and right now we just don't know the exact timeline as to a Chinese invasion. It could be sooner than later, we just simply don't know at the moment, but there is more proof of these exercises taking place. But moving on to our next post here, this one goes to Polymarket Intel. And we have a very big story to end the video off right now. We just got literally this news an hour before I started making the video. There has been a major national security leak in the United States as of this morning. In fact, I've not seen anything like this in my lifetime when it comes to a national security leak of this magnitude. Right now, we are hearing that individuals within the current U.S. administration have accidentally dropped the Atlantic's editor into a Signal group chat, and then the Secretary of Defense casually sent him classified info, allegedly, about U.S. strikes on Yemen hours before they happened, including exact weapons, targeting, and timing. So this is a very, very bad leak right here, and it sounds like they accidentally added an Atlantic editor into their group chat, which talks clearly about attacking the Yemen rebels, and this is very bad for our national security. I'm not really sure how this mistake was made, but this is a mistake of a really bad magnitudes right here, and we can see that there's a lot of information contained in these posts. So just crazy to see this, honestly. I'm not really sure even what to say about it, except for they probably shouldn't be using Signal to speak to each other, because I believe Signal is a private company, and that could be breached by foreign adversaries, perhaps. I'm not really sure about Signal's capabilities, but it seems like that is not a good way to communicate this information. So as you can see right here, quite a bad leak. But we also have another post about it from OSINT Technical, and OSINT Technical is saying this is possibly the most insane national security story in the last 50 years, and it showed the massive text chain, like I said, between these different administration members, speaking of these war plans. But overall, it's very disturbing to see this as a whole, and once again, I hope this gets cleared up, and hopefully they'll figure out a way to keep this in a little bit more secret, so that way our enemies don't see it, and also that way, so it doesn't leak out just like this to the press, because that stuff is supposed to be disclosed behind closed doors and not out in the public. So very interesting to see that, and also quite a failure on that front. But that is actually our last post of the day. So I hope you found today's short war video informative, and before you go, smack the like button and also subscribe to the channel as well for more daily war updates just like this one. And also be sure to join us again tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern on the next Nightly War News stream to cover the rest of the news happening throughout today and also tomorrow as well. And also, if you do want to support the channel financially, we do have a Patreon page, and you can go to the description down below for the Patreon link and sign up for a monthly membership to support the channel that way. And once again, a huge thanks to our Patreon supporters for making this channel possible, and we do appreciate that very much. But with that, we'll see you on the next Nightly War News stream on Tuesday night, and with that, bye-bye for now.